if we make a transition over to your market, the container ship market, I don't know, I went to a conference in Greece, and everyone who mentioned containers was like mentioning a horror story in the making because of the supply and order supply. I know it's not that easy, or there's different answers, but can you just give like the overall picture? Because I guess it's fair to say that the future expectation is that it's getting rough seas ahead, giving the order book. But maybe you can just paint the broad picture, and then we can dive into your particular niche as a second layer.
Sure. And I would say in general, the first statement I would make, in general, the industry has evolved and matured to a degree. So I would argue the demand side, further demand increase will be pretty much linked to the development of the global economy. In the past, people always said, well, it's a multiplier of 2 to 3 times GDP growth. This is not a valid equation anymore in my book. So I would rather look at 0.8 to 1.2 times GDP growth. So the demand side, we will see growth, but that's only one part of the equation. As you rightly said, there is a significant order book. But on the demand side, what is probably a bit more exciting is the potential developments of places like Africa. India has seen significant growth and still has significant potential in my view, but also the Middle East and Latin America. So there are obviously in relative terms, I expect significant growth there. In absolute terms globally, it remains to be seen, right? We're still very, very much dependent on China as well, right? And the consumption in Europe and in the US, obviously. But this is at least, besides the, let's say, less positive outlook on the demand side, this is probably some positive. Then on the supply side, you're absolutely right. And if you were in Greece and people painted a dark picture, that is mainly related to the supply side, of course. 7 million TEU order book, 30% order book to fleet ratio. But all of that, it is dominated by large vessels, and the average age of the fleet is 14 to 15 years globally. So we're also talking about the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. There is a necessity to renew the fleet, which is also accelerated through new regulation. And the new vessels that come in are mainly very large ships. So I think there will be a bit of a reshuffling. And I would argue, and I'm not saying kind of we in our small segment are somewhat protected, but what I'm saying is over the next 3 to 5 years, I do expect certain sectors will be underbuilt and others will probably be overbuilt. Now, it doesn't mean we will have a two-tier market and the small vessels make great and the large vessels don't. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you need to look at the intricacies of the order book and of the intricacies of the age structure, where we will see significantly more recycling in the smaller vessels. Is that the next 1-2 years? I'm more on the 3 to 5 year horizon. And I actually expect quite some choppy waters next year. But we might already see improvement in 25, 26, let's see. But choppy waters also makes opportunities. So, and that's what I'm excited about.